very much, kid.
Thanks, boys.
All right. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Harless,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Got it mixed up.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of the September 14th, 2021 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Harless,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes. And I need a motion to approve the minutes of the September 30th, 2021 special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Moore, Ms. Smith, Dr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes. All right, now we'll move on to recognition and awards, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Howard.
I'd like to have Miss Ball, principal from Northview Elementary, to come forward.
If I can have the Westview students come up first, I'm going to introduce for Miss Oxenbein. She's out today. So if I could have Mason Shepard come up first. Mason is the son of Alicia and Corey Shepard. He scored a perfect score in 5 math and in science. He was only a few points away from getting a perfect score.
Wow.
And it seems like congratulations to you. He is the son of Shandy and Billy Wilbur. He scored a perfect score in 5th grade math. Both boys are great and will do great things as they continue through the school. And Mrs. Oxenbein wants me to tell you that she is very proud of both of you. I wish that she was here to mention. So congratulations, girls.
All right. Congratulations. This is a certificate showing how proud we are of your accomplishment.
Mason, congratulations. This is an excellent award, and on behalf of the Board of Education and me, I'd like to present to you this certificate to show your accomplishment. I remember many years ago when you were just a little tiny fellow, picking you up off a counter at the Goodyear tire store, and you just hugged me, and maybe that science award came from that. You know?
Absolutely.
Congratulations, young man, and good luck in the future.
So we need to honor Mrs. Smith.
I have the honor of giving you the certificate for your perfect score in math. That is amazing. I was not a good math student, so I am super excited for all of our students that have done so well. So congratulations. I appreciate it.
And for my Northview student, I would like to have Mr. Kyle Cavell come up here. And I also want to have Mrs. Reynolds come up because I feel like it's important to recognize our teacher because without them, this couldn't be possible. The other teacher that was responsible for Kyle's learning was Mrs. Anna Lewis, and she couldn't be here tonight because she's at a track meet with Jenna. But Kyle is the son of Mike and Megan Cavell and Kelly Hemrick. And I would like to say that I first met Kyle when he was 3 years old. I don't know if you remember this, but it was at a skating party that we had at Northview Elementary. It was a skating party. And it was with Bo. He was there, and we were having a Halloween skating party. And he was just a little guy. And we were giving out awards. Patrick was there. We were doing the drawing. We had no one for preschool. We drew out and we said, how Miss Smith. I think I was part of this. I think I helped make this. Yeah, I think I helped make this perfect score. So, anyway, he's a great kid. He's always so pleasant with every kid that he meets. You guys have done just a fabulous job with him. And Bo, I'm sure you have done a fabulous job being a great big brother. He is. He's such a sweet kid. He's a kind-hearted kid. Is there anything you would like to say, Mrs.
He is
Reynolds?
an absolute hard worker, and he has a great personality too. He's fun to be around, and he is just a great kid, and I'm proud of him.
Oh, and I forgot to say, he scored perfect in our fourth grade math. Fourth grade math. So congratulations, Papa.
On behalf of the board, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. That's your certificate for perfect score.
Thank you.
We want to get some pictures so we don't forget, so boys want to come on back up. And Mrs. Ball, you want to come back up?
Ms. Reynolds?
Mr. Reynolds, come back up.
Where do you want that?
Good job, boys.
Yeah, very good job, boys.
Can you hold this one? There you go. I'm proud of that.
John Collins.
All right, we're going to, Mr. Howard's going to do a presentation. If the folks that are here for the special awards that we just gave out, you're free to leave if you want, or you can stay and we'll move on if you want to.
Happy birthday, Corbin. No problem, buddy. See you guys.
No one wants to hear you talk. If Phil's gonna talk, please leave. Hey, Joe, stay. Go right ahead.
Okay, every year I talk a little bit about our open enrollment situation. And let me just show you by grade level. Some of you can look at that one over there if it's better for you. And board members, you have a copy of this in front of you as well. We had 188 students that went out this year to other districts. Sounds like a lot, but when you have 2,400 students, and you'll see the historical significance here shortly. We had 311 students come in. We try to break it down by grade level because sometimes we have to cap a particular grade level. If we have too many students at any one grade level, then we will shut off open enrollment for that particular grade level. For example, first grade we had 8 students that went to another district. We had 29 that came to Jackson City Schools from other school districts, and so on and so forth. This next chart is by district, where students are coming from or where they're going to. And some of this, you can tell, is probably due to either proximity or maybe a mom or dad work in that particular district, especially if they are districts that are non-contiguous to us. For example, just looking down through here, you got one at Hamilton City. We got a student that leaves here and goes to Hamilton City. I'm sure that parents probably driving there and taking their child to school there. But if you take a look, all you want to be concerned about is the column that says leaving students and entering students. This FTE stuff, it matters to Brenda and I as far as how much funding the district gets, but for the purposes of tonight, you really just need to be focused on the students that are leaving and the students that are entering. And you can see that the bulk of our students come from 2 districts. We lose 57 students to Oak Hill, but we gain 119 students. So there's a difference there of 62 net students. And if you go on down, you'll see that Wellston, we lose 33 students to Wellston, and we gain 135 of their students for a plus 102. Keep in mind that each of these represents approximately $6,000. And then we have, for example here, Zane Trace. We lose 5 students to Zane Trace. We get none from there. I'm guessing that there's something proximity-wise that's happened there, parent working there or something. So again, 188 going out, 311 coming in, for a net of 123 students. If you look at the historical data, this is the fewest students that we've had leave since I've been tracking this. We had, well, no, I guess that's not true. Just in the last couple of years, we've been over 200. We were over 200 last year. Now we're at 188. We did not get as many students in this year. One of the things that I was concerned about was, I was hearing that there's going to be a lot of students that were leaving because of the decision we made prior to the start of school with the mask. That ended up not necessarily being reflected here. Possibly we didn't get as many because of that. I'm not sure. So we ended up with a net 123 students for the year. Now, you can go back to, let's look at about 2001. You can see that we had 91, we were gaining 91 students. Shortly after that, we quit taking open enrollment students. We closed open enrollment except for students that were already here. And you can see what happened. It started to go down, 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 and then there for a few years we were actually in the hole. The goal here is hopefully to at least come out even, because if you don't, you're obviously losing money. You want to be as in the positive as much as you can, but you certainly don't want to be in the negative. So then the last thing that we did was we went back from 2009, was as far back as I could find on ODE. I don't have fiscal 21 on here. The red numbers indicate a loss, and that's those 3 years that you saw that were negative on our sheet. Since then, from 2012 on, we have gained this amount of money each year for open enrollment students. I went ahead and had the other districts around just to see where they were at in terms of open enrollment. And we've been at a pretty high positive. I think this equates to about a little over $3 million since 2012 that the district has generated from students coming from other districts to our district. Any questions on this? Now, one thing I did notice here, and somebody might ask, well, how does this compare to last year's? I mean, other than the final numbers. You know that, I mean, we can see that we've got 30 less kids, a difference of 30, but 50 less actually came. So where did that happen from? We lose significant students to Eastern. I think a lot of that is because of the students that live farther out, Beaver Pike, end up going to Eastern, so we lose 36 there. We only gain 15. So that's our biggest loss, probably proximity, where they're located at. If you look down the net, which is what I usually try to do, over here, you got Southeastern Ross. Same thing, we're losing 15 students, but that's out on the 35 far end of the county. A lot of those kids, it's closer for them to go to Southeastern, or as close as it is here. But the big difference, most of them, it's pretty much a wash, with the exception of Oak Hill and Wellston. Any questions?
on to public participation. Got two signed in. First be Mr. Frank Saunders. Mr. Saunders, if you want to come up, you can use the podium there and the microphone. And like I said, we normally give the 3 minutes. I know you got a lot more information, but that's what we try to stick to. We've got a lot more to discuss tonight, so appreciate your input there.
Yeah, my name is Frank Saunders. I graduated in 1971, and Jackson High School had one whale of a science department back then. I mean, unbelievable. We had Mr. Bowman and several other really great instructors, and they created a monster, me. I currently have approximately 180 inventions, and I've been experienced in medical, paramedic, EMT, ER nurse. I'm very concerned about healthcare. The reason I'm here tonight is because we have some very corrupt people telling us how to be healthy, and they're wrong. They are not following science. They're not even thinking about science. This is about control. Does anybody here know how big a virus is? Have you looked it up? I can tell you, 0.6 microns to 0.125 microns. If you take one of your human hairs and cut it in two, you can put 100 viruses on that little tiny circle in your hair. Now, how do you catch something that small? Do these masks do that? No. Does anybody here know the size of the holes in your mask? Have you looked it up? Done any research? 1 micron. Well, if you got a virus that's 0.06 microns and you got a 1 micron hole, how are you going to stop that? 256 viruses will fit through one hole in your mask. And there are thousands of holes in your mask. So every time you breathe in and breathe out, with or without a mask, at least 500,000 viruses are going out and coming back in. Let's get a center person. I'm picking you, Mr. Howard. I'm not really, but he's near the middle of the room. Let's pretend he has COVID really bad, and he exhales. How far will those viruses go, and how long will they stay in the air? See, we're taught 6 feet and we're safe? No. We have something in science called the Brownian movement. If he exhales in the middle of the room, everything that leaves will go 30 meters and stay in the air for 16 hours. So one man in the room, you have to clear the room out for 16 hours and not come back in. Is that possible? No, it's not possible. Okay, let's pretend I got a shrink machine. I'm going to shrink everybody down to 0.6 microns. We'll pretend this wall here is the mask. How much of the wall do I have to remove to make it to scale? I need to be able to line up 250 people side by side, the length of this building, so you can all step out through that hole. That's how big the holes are in the mask compared to a virus. Is this a problem? Yeah, it's not real. It's not science. There is no science at all in COVID. None. When Anthony Fauci first announced this, by the way, he's never practiced medicine a day in his life. He said, you don't need to wear a mask. They don't work. He told the truth that day. He also said 250 million people are going to die from the virus. Oops, fell a little short, didn't we? Even when they're fudging the numbers. Now, the CDC has an organization called VAERS. It's a vaccine injury report. Look it up. All the people dying from COVID aren't dying from COVID. Most of them have pre-existing conditions. Many of them are obese. The numbers are incorrect. And VAERS, as accurate as they try to make it, is only 1 to 10% is what's being reported. So you take their numbers, you know, times 10 or 100, it's more accurate. Much more accurate. And what worries me is the long-term effects of mask wearing. They were designed to be worn for approximately 15 minutes, and we're making kids wear these all day long. Do you know what a chance of a kid surviving getting COVID is? Have anybody looked it up? If they get COVID, they have a 99.997% chance of surviving. Basically 100%. They're not going to die from it, but yet we're masking them. Now, what do masks do on the other side? Let's say you got a staff. The reason I came here is because I saw a girl injured by a mask in this school system, and I was angry, and I still am, because she had gotten a staph infection. Well, how do you get a staph infection? The masks hold them in. Staph infection is larger than 1 micron. So you exhale, the mask catches them. You inhale, they breed. It's warm, it's wet. Everything you grow bacteria, boom, you got it. Pneumonia cases are phenomenal. Anybody ever hear of the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, where you lost 500,000, I think it was? Nobody died from the flu. Did you know that? Anthony Fauci did a study. He published it. Look it up on the internet. They died from pneumonia from wearing masks, and they were vaccinated. And you look at the old newspaper articles in the archives, it clearly states those who did not get vaccinated and did not wear a mask were burying those who did. Now, if we didn't learn that lesson 100 years ago, what the heck are we doing this today for our children? You said you got 2,400 kids here? They all wearing masks? Now, you're in a bad spot. You got idiots above you telling, boy, Mr. Howard, you need to do this. Keep our kids safe. But there's no science behind it. None.
All right, well, I appreciate it. I gave you 6 minutes, so gave
Okay.
you double your
If
time.
you want more, my name is Frank Saunders, and I'm on the internet, and I have got books and books and papers. I've researched it for 2 years, and you're killing our kids. I know you're in a bad spot, but I want somebody to stand up for the kids. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Mrs. Kathy Bragg is on the schedule.
Thanks, Frank.
I tried to get this at 4 minutes. Am I allowed to do
Yeah,
the
you
whole
can,
4 minutes? Okay.
I'll watch it.
And I
I'll give
have
you-
this all written down for each of you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
My name is Kathy Bragg. I'm a follower of Christ, a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I have been in the district since 2008 and employed since 2009. I'm saddened by what is going on in the world today and hate what it's doing to our future generation, particularly how covering the faces of our young children has changed them. I watch them go out on the playground knowing full well they can pull their masks down, yet they leave them up and they don't see each other laugh or smile or show sadness. You don't even know if someone is hurting unless you hear one of the 4 or 5-year-olds in my class cry. They need touch, they need eye contact, they need a smile that reassures them it will be okay. Even in the courses I've taken this year, they've mentioned a smile as the top thing for helping young children cope, and I think this is true for all of us. To me, the mask represents fear. I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. It's unhealthy for our children to wear the same filthy mask for hours. In pre-K, half the class had colds, and we spent a good part of the day changing masks and washing hands. I started out the school year wearing a shield. The masked police were not satisfied, and I was asked to the office and asked to wear a mask because I was not maintaining distance when working with a child, but of course I could wear a shield also. I was asked to promise that I would wear the mask with the exception of lunch and playground. I was told, we know you don't agree with the mask policy. I was told again, no hugging, no holding hands, no sitting a child on my lap. I do not offer my hand, I do not offer my arms, I do not offer my lap. The child always comes to me in 100% of the time. Children need love, and if they need love from me, I will give it. God is love, and because he is my Father, where I get my strength, I will follow him above all mandates. I understand you are following protocol and you will not answer any questions, but allow me to ask some anyhow. Do you know where these masks come from? I do. I do. I saw the boxes. They come from China. Tangchi Forest Electrical Technology Household Goods Department. Distributed by Artist N.A. Inc., California, Incorporated, August 14th, 2019. Isn't that interesting? Non-medical, not intended for medical use. Is that supposed to make?
That is correct.
Is that supposed to make the fearful feel
And
safe?
it does not work on a virus. It'll tell you that on the package.
Who's paying for these masks? Are they requiring you to ensure the mask be worn? Are you given some type of compensation for ensuring that the masks are worn? I'm not here to hear myself talk. I'm here because I was asked to be here and because I represent countless others who feel the same way, but perhaps are fearful of losing their jobs. I am here because I have the right as an American citizen to make decisions, have opinions, and voice those opinions. This is the land of the free. Your objective is to intimidate and coerce by using your authority without regard to our individual volition. You prompt us to hide, conceal from the view of others. Is that freedom? Freedom includes choosing to mask or vaccinate or not to. It is not so much about the virus, which is real, or the mask, but what it's leading up to, and that's the vaccine mandates, which is exactly what those in control wanted all along.
Thank you.
You are 100% correct.
Well, it's my opinion.
It's not an opinion, it's fact. I've researched that too.
Somebody might have got an extra one there.
I did.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy. All right, thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. All right, we'll move on now to the consent agenda.
Did you research and make approval on that?
It is recommended that the board approve the consent agenda as follows. Item A, recommend the board approve the following resignations. There are several of those here. Actually, a couple of them are in the room. There's Billy. Billy was one of our tech interns and was recently employed. Matter of fact, I think you started, what, yesterday?
Yep.
Started his new job yesterday.
Good.
Called and asked if he could come back and do one last board meeting, so.
Appreciate
I don't
that.
think you should
Thank
leave
you,
then.
Billy.
Of course, Mr. Hemsley sitting here, going to be retiring at the end of the school year. Jay Bertrand, Marlena Evans, Tony Simpson, and Mr. Keith Wilson, teacher at the middle school there. Item B is a recommendation to employ Robert, more commonly known, I guess, as Pete Bopp, as a classified employee cleaning person. Item C is a recommendation to employ Pam Evans and Donald Guzman as certified subs for the dates reflected. Item D is a recommendation to employ Donna Baker, Shyla Barch, and Jennifer Lawhorn as 047 classified employees. Item E is a recommendation to employ Christy Parksbyler as the fall fieldhouse supervisor and Scott Kilgore as the girls bowling coach. Item F, recommendation to employ several different individuals as classified subs for the current school year for the positions as noted. Item G is a recommendation to employ Shyla Barch and Peggy Wills as site directors for our Latchkey program. Item H, recommendation to employ Kyle Fannin, Chris Graham, and Jordan Lower as volunteers, be supervised by building principals or coaches if they're in the athletic department. Item I is a recommendation to approve a pay rate change for certified subs, and that will now be $125 a day for a teacher or $135 per day if you are a retiree of the Jackson City School District. Item J is a recommendation to approve a pay rate change for classified subs to to $12 an hour. Item K, recommendation to approve a pay rate change for substitute bus drivers to $14.50 per hour. Item L is a recommendation to approve Support Our Soccer and Westview PTO as support groups for the current school year. Item M is a recommendation to approve a service agreement with Otis Elevator Company for elevator services for all of our buildings. Item N is a recommendation to approve policy updates. Item O is a recommendation to approve a resolution regarding graduation requirements for the class of 2022. And I believe that concludes the consent agenda.
Any items need removed for separate consideration? If not, I need a motion to approve the consent.
I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question.
All
Are there
right.
any changes in requirements for the graduation?
No, it's just some more flexibility because of COVID in the last couple of years as far as students that didn't pass the, or were unable to take end-of-course exams.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Dr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes. New business, I need a motion to approve the resignation of Treasurer Rachel Strauser pursuant to the resignation agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes. The treasurer's report, need a,
It's as presented, Mr. McDonald.
okay, need a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented, and it was on the agenda there for you to look at, so, any questions? If not, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Dr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes. And we'll move on to information discussion. Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I want to talk just a little bit about our current COVID situation. The last couple of weeks have not been the best for the district. We've experienced some more cases in the last couple of weeks than what we have had in terms of positive COVID cases.
Thank you.
Well, prepared for you here is a list of the number of active cases that we have per building. So you can see that right as of yesterday, actually, we update on Mondays and Thursdays. So as of yesterday at Jackson High School, we had 10 students that were out right now with COVID. We had 5 at the middle school, 4 at Northview, 2 at Southview, 2 at Westview, for a total of 23 students in the district that were out with COVID. Also wanted to give you a cumulative picture of how many students that we have had since prior to school starting, back to August 1st. We've had a total of 142 students that have contracted COVID. Now, 14 of those was prior to the first day of school, so there's been 128 students. And again, that's out of about roughly 2,400 students. The other thing that I wanted to show you real quick. Arlene, you might have to help me. How do I get to it? Oh. Yes. Where's the escape key at? Okay. If you go to our district website, we try to put this here where it's easily accessible. You don't have to hunt for it. It pops up as soon as you go to our district website. It says COVID-19 information. So you tap that, you can go to our dashboard, and you can look by building and see how many students, how many staff that we have out at that given time. So on Monday, this is updated yesterday, We had 23 students that were quarantined at Jackson High School. We had 10 students that were out positive. Had no staff quarantined, no staff out positive. Middle school, 11 quarantined, 5 positives, no staff. The 3 elementary buildings, we had 8 and 4. Southview had 21 kids quarantined, 2 positives. Westview had 12 quarantined, 2 positives. Staff, we had no quarantines. We did have a staff positive at Southview. And then district-wide, we had 2 staff positives. These are people who don't really work in a particular building, more not necessarily central office staff, but people that are not assigned to a particular building. And we had 4 members of the band, 5 athletes. So totals, no staff quarantined, 4 staff positive, 84 kids quarantined, and 23 students positive. That's about as high as we've had in the last few weeks. And we were still, today we were right at almost 90% student attendance in the district. So we've been hanging around that 88 to 91% attendance for the last several days. So I don't know if in the last 2 weeks, particularly in the last week or so, but we have had an uptick in the number of positive cases. Any questions?
Comment.
Yeah.
Your elementary looks pretty good. You're looking at almost 1,200 kids with 54 positives.
Yeah.
And they're not able to get vaccinated.
Right.
High school's got 47 out of 650. That's interesting.
I think it's probably because the high school kids are out a lot more, doing a lot of things outside of here.
Mhm.
I still think that it's rare where we see that there's spread in the school. I mean, it's all happening, at events outside. This time of year, people are having bonfires and all kind of things, and they're going places together. And also, I'm not so sure, but sometimes at the high school in particular, we'll have a kid who'll come in and say, "Hey, I was with B. Moore this weekend. He's got COVID, so I'm quarantined."
We wouldn't do that.
So, you have to remember that last year we had the option of the online schooling, and a lot of our kids did that. Well, some of those kids, they're looking for a reason to not have to come to school, so that's
Bill,
where we are right now.
are any of these kids sick?
Are they sick? I'm not aware of, I've not been told, now, maybe there's somebody out there that hasn't mentioned that somebody's, in the hospital or that, but I'm not aware of any of that. Or Heather, you aware of that? Positive. Sean, you know of any? So, I'm not aware of anybody that's gotten, extremely sick to the point of where they've had to be hospitalized. Any other questions? And then I have just a couple of other items for information discussion. We have some dates that are coming up. Tomorrow at Buckeye Hills is the Battle of the Bands. October 20th, which is a week from tomorrow, we will have a 2-hour early dismissal for the district so that our staff can have some health screening done. So we'll be dismissing 2 hours early. We'll be sending a robocall out for that. On Friday, October 29th, there will be no school for students. That's a professional development day for our teachers. Monday, November the 8th, will be the National Honor Society induction. And Saturday, November the 6th, will be the Westview Carnival. And then just a couple of other things. You probably got my robocall about the food shortage. And I don't know if food shortage is a good way to describe it or not, but we're having trouble getting enough of certain foods. We're not having trouble feeding our kids. We'll be able to feed the kids, but What it's done is it's put us in a position of where the menus are often being changed at the last second because we can't get a particular food. So I just wanted to make sure, I sent that call out to let people know. I know there's a lot of people, remember when my kids were little, that, you know, Griff would eat chicken nuggets, and so when chicken nuggets were on the menu, we didn't pack lunch that day. And now, all of a sudden, you're planning on him eating chicken nuggets, and he gets to school and we're having pizza or whatever. So I apologize for that, but there's not much we can do about it. It's going on all over the United States. I mean, it's not just unique to us. So just wanted to let everybody know that. The success programs, we started those yesterday, our after-school programs. Southview and the middle school are both grant-funded, and we do have transportation from those two buildings. The other three buildings are not grant-funded. We're paying for those out of our ESSER funds, and we do not have transportation for those students from those buildings. Right now, a tentative enrollment, based on this morning, we had over 100 at Southview. Westview had 76. Northview had 79. The middle and the high school were both really small numbers. We had about 29 kids at the middle school, but we've actually had over 60 that signed up, so I'm not sure. Maybe with it being the first day, some kids forgot or something. And the high school, we had less than 10 kids that stayed. So I did hear a couple of teachers here at the high school at the end of the day that were calling parents to encourage them to have their students stay for help after school. And then the last thing I have is I also sent out a robocall about this TikTok thing, the TikTok challenges. And, we've had, apparently every month there's a challenge for students. Last month it was to vandalize restrooms. And there were school districts all over the United States who experienced tons of damage to their restrooms. A superintendent really close to here that I know said that he bought 32 new soap dispensers. We didn't have quite that issue, but we did expel 3 students. So this month, the challenge is to slap a teacher. And so I sent a robocall home, making sure that, we're announcing it to our students all the time, that if you do this, the punishment's going to be harsh. And but we want to make sure that the parents can also have the opportunity to chime in at home and talk to their student, because the last thing I want to do is be sitting down with a parent in my office for an expulsion hearing and have the parent say, well, I wasn't aware of it. So, the student may have been, but the parent wasn't. So we took care of that by sending out that call. Next month, the challenge is to kiss your best friend's girlfriend in the hallway. So I'm sure that's going to go over real well. So, and I can't even repeat what December and January, I mean, they're just kind of obscene. So parents, if you're watching this, you might check out TikTok, talk to your students about that, and make sure they understand that, some of these things are criminal offenses, and we're going to come down hard on those, and you could end up having charges as a student, and I don't want to see kids starting off their, graduating from high school with a criminal record. So parents hopefully can chime in there and make sure that doesn't happen. That's all I have.
Okay, next part of the agenda, we're going to move to executive session. There will be no action taken, so you're free to leave now, because we won't be, once we come back out of there, we'll just probably adjourn the meeting. So if I could, I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Dr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes, and it's just for the record there, discuss employment of personnel is the purpose. Thank you, everybody. All right, need a motion now to adjourn the executive session, return to the regular meeting.
So moved.
Ms. Harless,
Yes.
Dr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Harless,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes. Meeting's adjourned.